trying to pass it up to Dowling, and there's the pass to Dowling. Dowling going to take a shot. Audrey Keener across to Keyser. Keyser shot in and
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Joining live action here, the BORP Shockers versus the St. Louis Arrows for Power Soccer Shop. I'm Tony Jackson. Lots of great action going on here at Turnstone in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And that ball is out of play. Kick in coming up for BORP. Ariana Dinzans getting ready to take the kick. Ian Kinmont preparing to receive, and Ruby Shamaria right there to take that ball at the opposite end of the floor. In goal for BORP, Margaret Mele. Peyton Rule now with the ball for St. Louis. Nice save there by Dinzans, but the referee says it was out of play. So kick in coming up for the Arrows. Enck hits that ball right into Dinzans, and now Enck going to take the ball and pass it off. Elzinger back to Enck. Shamaria, Enck, Kinmont over to Dinzans. BORP on the attack. Good clearance by Rule. Kinmont sends that one across into Rule. Dinzans, Kinmont tries to go across to Shamaria. Rule trying to get around Kinmont. That ball is out of play. Kick in coming up for the BORP Shockers. Shamaria, that ball gets through, but Rule cuts it off. Close to a 2-on-1 violation on St. Louis. That ball sent out of play by Rule. 4th minute of action. Kinmont. Rule, pass across to Elzinger. Lots of congestion here at the middle of the floor. And Kinmont hits it out of play. Contact, heavy contact. That ball springs back out to Rule, who hits it into Kinmont. That ball is going to roll out for an Arrows goal kick. Shamaria trying to get around Enck. She kicks it out to Kinmont. Good pass, and the pass back to Shamaria. Enk hits it off of Shamaria, who bounces it off of Kinmont. Kinmont trying to keep it in play, and he can't quite get it. So kick in coming up for the Arrows. Enk all the way across. Elzinger turned late on it. Now Rule threatening the BORP defense, and that's going out for a corner kick. Enk taking the kick. Enk all the way across goes the ball. Dinzan's going to take it out and clear the area. Rule. Oh, and there's a collision just to the left of the center line. Melee tries to clear the ball. Rule now trying to get behind Melee. That ball out of play. Kick in coming up for St. Louis. That ball off of Melee. Now Dinzan's going to pick it up. Can she get around Dagla? She can. Enk is there to catch the ball, but he can't control it and redirect it. Enk. Kinmont sends that ball down the floor. Dinzan's tried a 180 spin kick but was too far away, so another kick in coming up for St. Louis. Update on a few scores. Court 2, Sac Valley Flames trailing the Bay State Falcons 1-0. On Court 3, Wisconsin Warriors 5, Turnstone Furious Flyers 0. And on Court 4, Shepherd Strikers 1, RHI Inferno 0. Kinmont working against Rule, trying to get around her. Kinmont, well done. 2-on-1 violation. Referee allows play to continue. Kinmont, Ian Kinmont maintains control, scores a goal, and puts the BORP Shockers up 1-0. And there was a 2-on-1 violation, but again, the referee, Andy Green, allowed play to continue, allowing the advantage, and Kinmont scores a goal. Now, the last time we saw the Arrows, every time they would score, the Wisconsin Warriors would answer immediately. Let's see if BORP can do the same. Or excuse me, let's see if the Arrows can answer this goal against BORP. Kinmont believed that ball was off of Enk, but referees are saying it's a kick in for St. Louis, but not before we get a substitution. Looks like Elzinger is coming off, and coming on in her place, number 13, Mark Pratt. Kinmont, 2-on-1 violation, but BORP still moving down the floor. Kinmont trying to get it over to Shamaria. That ball bounces over to Shamaria Enk. Kinmont, Dinzans. Dinzans again with the ball right into Enk. It's going to go out of play. BORP coming up with a kick in of their own. Kinmont, Rule now breakaway for the Arrows. Melee's out. Pratt with a shot. Kinmont turns it away. Oh, and a collision between Kinmont and Pratt. Wisconsin Warriors have put up another goal. It's 6-0 in that game. That ball gets all the way across. Pratt with a shot. Saved by Kinmont. Dinzans now trying to get around Rule. Lots of congestion just outside the BORP goal area. Shamaria, that ball out of play. Rule takes a shot off of Dinzans. That ball bounces off of Pratt and out of play. Kick in for BORP coming up. Rule gets around Shamaria. Dinzans is there to pick up that pass from Kinmont. Kinmont all the way across. Pratt's there. Pratt, Kinmont. Dinzans now with the ball. Dinzans with a shot. Saved by Rule. Kinmont. Shamaria's there. Degla. That ball bounces out. Kinmont sends it back into the St. Louis goal area, and Kinmont and his BORP Shockers teammates really turning the screws right now, putting a lot of pressure on that St. Louis defense. Dinzans. Kinmont lets that go through, and Ruby Shamaria scores a goal. Ian Kinmont with the feint, and Shamaria puts it home. 2-0 BORP. Let's watch that again. And watch Kinmont just let that ball roll through, and Ruby Shamaria is right there to put it home. (2-0) BORP. And around the Turnstone Center on court 2, Sac Valley Flames, Bay State Falcons, level at 1. A foul on St. Louis is going to be a free kick, or excuse me, a foul on BORP. Means a free kick coming up for St. Louis. On court 3, Wisconsin still up 6-0 over the Turnstone Furious Flyers. And on court 4, the Shepherd Strikers lead 2-0 over RHI Inferno. Pratt taps that ball, but it's wide of the post, so it's going out for a BORP goal kick. Pratt with a shot off of Shamaria. Rule couldn't turn quickly enough. Dinzans taking on Rule, the kick out. Nicely done by Rule to hold on to that ball. Kinmont can't control the ball, so it's out. And St. Louis will restart play. Shamaria now collects the ball. Ruby Shamaria. Rule. That ball springs out to Dinzans. Pratt. Kinmont now passes over to Shamaria. Shamaria can't turn in soon enough to collect that ball, so St. Louis ends up with a goal kick here. Shepherd Strikers scored another goal, and they lead 3-0 over RHI Inferno. And Wisconsin Warriors have scored again as well. That is now 7-0 in their favor over the Turnstone Furious Flyers. Kinmont. Shamaria's there. Shamaria off of Dagula. Dinzans. Shamaria with a shot, saved by Rule. The referee almost got taken out off the screen there. Ian Kinmont nearly backed into Andy Green. Ank still driving down the floor. Kinmont very smartly lets it roll out. Goal kick. Dinzans. That one off of Kinmont, now to play. Ank now taking that ball back after it went off of Rule. And Kinmont tries to keep it in, but he ends up giving St. Louis another kick in. Kinmont sends it right into Pratt. Pratt over to Ank. Ank across, blocked by Kinmont. Rule. Kinmont ball bouncing around, lots of action going on here. And the referee blows the halftime whistle. BORP Shockers lead 2-0 over the St. Louis Arrows. We're going to take a break, and we'll bring you the second half right after this halftime. You're watching the 2019 USPSA MK Battery Conference Cup Series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Second half about to start in just a moment. The BORP Shockers are on top of the St. Louis Arrows 2-0 for Power Soccer Shop. I'm Tony Jackson. And the Arrows looking for some kind of offense here. Before we get started, some updated scores. Court 2, Sac Valley Flames, Bay State Falcons still level at 1. On Court 3, Wisconsin Warriors 7, Turnstone Furious Flyers 0. And on Court 4, Shepherd Strikers 3, RHI Inferno 0. And Ian Kinmont for the BORP Shockers, trying to move the ball into the attacking area for his team. And Pratt sends that out. Rule blocked off by Kinmont. Kinmont, Dinzens. Now Pratt moving up the pitch. Kinmont's there to strip it away. Nicely done, Ian Kinmont. That ball comes across, and Elzinger swings a little too early. 2-on-1 violation, but play continues. Rule swings and misses the ball. Shamaria sends that out of play. Kick in coming up for St. Louis Arrows. Rule, Kinmont. Kinmont gets it away. Shamaria chasing. Another kick in from pretty much the same spot as they did a moment ago. St. Louis Arrows. Dinzans takes the ball. Contact between Rule and Dinzans, and now a foul called. And a direct free kick coming up for the BORP Shockers. Kinmont momentarily loses the ball, but he regains sight of it, and now he's taking on Rule, knocks it out of play, and gives his team a kick in. I want to thank you all for joining us today. It's day one of the 2019 USPSA MK Battery Conference Cup Series. If you're watching online and you want a 1080 high definition experience, make sure you go over to the Power Soccer Shop YouTube channel. You can also find us on Twitch as well. Rumor has it we're going to be featured Monday and Tuesday. So tell your friends, have them check out a little bit of Power Soccer. Shamaria touches that ball out of play. Elzinger, that ball going off the back of her chair. Kinmont tries to get through the St. Louis defenders. Referee Andy Green holds his whistle. Thought about blowing the 2-on-1 violation. Now Pratt trying to take advantage of the BORP defenders splitting off, but Kinmont takes the ball back. Kinmont moving with ease, but Peyton Rule strips the ball away. Good job. And that ball last touching off of Kinmont. Dinzans. Shamaria's there. Shamaria with the ball. That ball now out. Shamaria, the pass to Dinzans. Dinzans gets it back out to Shamaria. Kinmont sends it into the area. Dinzans, that ball right between Dinzans and Enk. Dinzans takes a shot. Kinmont into the St. Louis defense. Close to a 2-on-1 violation. Play continues. Dinzans trying to get through that Arrows defense. Now Dinzans trying to keep it in play. She was the last to touch it, so it's out. Goal kick coming up. St. Louis Arrows. Kinmont across. Kinmont just wide. Shamaria couldn't get there in time. BORP Shockers almost putting up a third goal. You see Kinmont here with a good pass across, but Shamaria just couldn't get there quickly enough. Shamaria strips that ball away from Pratt. Rule. That ball bounces around. Dangerous. Dinzans also could not catch that ball. Dinzans now with the ball again, but Rule's right there, and referee is going to call a 2-on-1 violation. Kinmont couldn't redirect that ball towards the goal, so kick in coming up for the St. Louis Arrows. 28th minute. BORP Shockers still in the lead. St. Louis trying to find some kind of offense here. Now the scoreboard over there for the Wisconsin Warriors Turnstone Furies Flyers says 102-0, but that's most certainly incorrect. So we'll see if we can get you the correct score. Warriors were leading 7-0 last time. I doubt they scored another 95 goals, 94 goals. Probably not. That would be a record in pretty much any sport, I believe. Kinmont now. Kinmont trying to turn Peyton Rule away. Kinmont dragging the ball down the floor. Rule loses the ball. Kinmont. Nice tenacity by Kinmont to keep moving. Now, Kinmont gets that ball between the two St. Louis defenders. Kinmont driving. Kinmont, the kick out. Shamaria misses that ball. Kinmont. Lots of pressure. Ian Kinmont. That's got to be a 2-on-1 violation, but play continues. Rule clears the ball. Elzinger now with an opportunity to counterattack for St. Louis. Dinzans back the other way. Rule for St. Louis. Now trying to get past Kinmont. Kinmont. Shamaria. And the referee calls another 2-on-1 violation on BORP. trying to turn Shamaria. Shamaria pulls the ball away. Pratt's there. Now Rule backed into Shamaria a little bit. It's going to be a kick in for BORP. Kinmont. Rule misses. Shamaria passes over to Kinmont. Rule takes it away. That ball out. And a goal kick coming up for St. Louis. And it looks like the Sac Valley Flames in the second half, in the 36th minute, have taken the lead. 2-1 the score in that game against the Bay State Falcons. Now BORP with an attacking kick in. Dinzans is going to take it. Kinmont waiting. That ball right off of Enk. Dinzans off of Enk. And that ball bounces around, and that's off the post. Dinzans is there. Ball still in play. Kinmont now across to Shamario, but it's cut off by Enk. Margaret Melee out of the goal area. No one back there for BORP. But they're retreating and making sure that ball doesn't sneak through their defense. Kinmont across to Shamaria. Shamaria just a little bit late on that cross. Pratt couldn't hold on to it, so kick in coming up for BORP. And it looks like chair parts are on the floor. Not quite sure whose chair it belongs to, what part it is. Looks like Dinzans, who's the owner of that stray piece. Sometimes nuts and bolts and plastic parts come flying off chairs. And when you're out there, sometimes it's difficult to determine who it belongs to. We're about to restart here. Ruby Shamaria are going to take the kick for BORP. Pratt with a 180 spin kick. And he sends that down the floor and out. Kick in coming up for BORP. Sac Valley Flames on court 2. Really opening up the game now. It looks like it's 3-1 at the moment. I think it was already 3-1. Let's see if that score updates. They did score. It is 3-1. Shamaria sends that down the floor. Peyton Rule couldn't hold on to it. Good job by Enk, realizing that was going to go out for BORP. He stopped it. BORP still with a kick in, but in a much more difficult position. Kinmont off of Pratt. Dinzans is there to pick it up. Off of Pratt, off of Dinzans. Pratt, that ball deflected by Dinzans, and it goes out for a goal kick in favor of the Arrows. Dangerous moment there for St. Louis, however. And court 4 Shepherd Strikers leading 3-0 over RHI Inferno. That ball rolls out for another BORP kick in. Dinzans right into Enk. Oh my goodness! Ryan Enk tried to clear the ball and he turned too far. And that ball slid right through between him and Rule. He sees opened up too much and essentially scored that goal. It'll be interesting to see if the referees count that as an own goal, considering that Enk did slide that ball past his teammate. Regardless of who gets credit for the goal, the score is now 3-0 in favor of BORP. And Shamaria trying to help her team add another. Pratt, Melee, cuts the ball off. Melee now driving the ball out of the area. Pratt tries to kick it out to Rule. Melee now with the ball. Margaret Melee driving, dragging Rule down the floor. Good job by Melee. Enk is there. Melee, can she score a goal? She tried to get around Enk. Now that ball comes out Shamaria. That ball off of Shamaria, heavy contact in the goal area. Goal kick coming up for St. Louis. And we have a final on court 2. Sac Valley Flames 3, Bay State Falcons 1. Now that Turnstone Furious Flyers Wisconsin Warriors match is over. I wasn't able to get an official final tally, but the last time we looked at the scoreboard, it was 7-0 in favor of Wisconsin. Rule, Kinmont with a shot. Dinzans can't get there. On court 4. Shepherd Strikers score again. It's 4-0. Shamaria, Pratt. And we're going to get a 2-on-1 violation on St. Louis. Indirect free kick coming to BORP. Kinmont right into Enk. Back out to Dinzans with a shot. Shamaria. Dinzans over to Kinmont. Kinmont off of Enk again. Dinzans back over to Kinmont. And that ball's just going to roll out. And a kick in coming up for St. Louis. Chances of a comeback running out for St. Louis. But I always feel that even if you're going to end up on the losing end of a match, if you can get at least one goal, that will certainly help boost confidence even just a little bit for your team. Kinmont, nice pass over to Shamaria. Rule, Kinmont gets that ball. Nice pass over to Dinzans. Dinzans, the cross over to Shamaria. Wonderful passing here by BORP. Kinmont. Rule tries to clear it. Kinmont goes over to Shamaria. And she can't quite keep it in play. Kinmont turns around, tries to get around Rule. Kinmont still dragging Rule down the floor. That ball now out of play. Good job by Kinmont to get out of the way before he made contact with that ball. Dinzans across. Shamaria. Kinmont with a shot saved. Kinmont with another shot saved again. Kinmont with yet another. That ball rolls out. Kick in coming up. Kinmont with 3 consecutive shots. All of them saved by Ank. Nicely done. Good job staying in place and holding his discipline. Can be very easy to try to move around and try to clear balls out. But he just stayed right there. Dinzans now with a shot. Saved again. And that ball out. Goal kick. Ank misses that ball, but referee Andy Green blows the final whistle, and the BORP Shockers pull away with a 3-0 victory over the St. Louis Arrows. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the final match for day 1 from the 2019 USPSA MK Battery Conference Cup Series. Tomorrow we have a full slate of games, 10 of them, starting at 8 a.m. Eastern. We're going to kick things off with the San Jose Rockets versus the Turnstone Furious Flyers, and we will end the day tomorrow with the Atlanta Sting versus the Boston Breakers from the President's Conference. We will see you tomorrow, but until then, have a good night, and we'll see you on day 2. Take care, everybody.